Good morning, welcome to Friday's live trading. I say good morning, it could be good afternoon by the time you watch this, of course. Well, it is morning as I'm sitting here, and I was looking at the pound here as a potential rollover victim, or candidate, I should say. It has put this flag in on the bigger time frames. That in itself has only really double tops, and I'm just looking to see if it rolls from here. Now, I'm not trusting it fantastically at the moment in terms of the price action. It's slow. The markets, we know there's quite a few European markets closed today, Labour Day, so bank holidays. It may be just quiet in terms of volume, but just watching this, I was looking to see if we saw a break here. It sort of chips around at it. It's just not absolutely clear. What it is doing is sitting on its 30-minute 50 here. It's I'll just put a 30-minute chart here. I'm just watching on another chart here, and there it is. It's just sitting on that 30-minute 50, but maybe just a bit of patience and see if this rolls over. Euro, I just run through to that. It just a short while ago came back just short of yesterday's highs there. These movements may have been coming in on a bit of end of month corrections on traders books, the end of the fix there, but again this does look like, well, maybe a bit of weakness in the euro as well, and it's just taking out that earlier morning low there. So I will pause you for a moment and come back in a minute. So just selling the pound here, we put a stop just above the highs here. Target wise, I'm looking down at the 60-minute chart, looking at that 60-minute 50. So that's the target for this morning. It's broken back below its daily pivot here at the same time. So that's where we are this morning. So it's a 2-to-1 roughly, maybe a bit more than 2-to-1 in terms of risk reward with a stop above there, around about an 18 pip to make about 40 something. So that's where we are. Okay, so just been asked what else did I see on excuse me, on cable here to want to be shorting it. Now it's moving sort of in the right direction at the moment, but I'm always wary of when this happens. But what else do I see? I mean, I'm just looking at a 60-minute chart at the moment. I'm just looking at off of an empty chart, because it so often just gives you the view of, well, apart from pivots of course, it just gives you the view of price action. And I was watching this price action here, and when it broke the lows through the Asian session there, it confirmed a lower high, so that immediately gives me a bit of a bearish angle on things. And then watching it this morning, it had done it exactly the same again. It put a second lower high in when it had broken on the previous bar there earlier on. Now if I come down on the shorter time frames here, you see it's a bit messy on a 5-minute chart there, but in fact, let's just change this to a 30-minute chart. We're sitting just into that 30-34 at the moment, which may stall things. But coming down onto this 30-minute chart, you can see it again. So there's two lower highs that had already been put in there, and then we've sort of said price had recovered a little bit. It just looked weak. This price action here was most likely end of month adjustments, so I wasn't too put off for that. And then, well, okay, the weekly trend had been quite up, but it's just pulled a long way away from the trend and the average of the trend. So really just looking at it moving back towards the sort of trend of what's going on there. So not particularly massively bearish on the bigger picture. It may still have opportunities, but on this shorter time frame, just looking at a 60-minute chart was sort of the clue. But we'll see, this 34 might have stifled it out completely. We often see decent bounces off the first touches. Okay, it's touched it before, so it may be okay, but either way, we'll see. But it was really literally, there is a monthly pivot below, may have extra draw into things, but I wasn't really even looking at that. I'm just purely looking at this a move back towards the 50. So it's already through its 21 there. It looked weak when the euro was looking stronger. As I say, it may still go wrong here yet, but that was the sort of reasoning I was looking behind the trade. Okay, so just literally stopped out there on the pound dollar there. It was running well for quite some time. Well, running against me initially, it started running well. Unfortunately, just came into that 34. It just provided too much support for me, with the euro still pushing up and the yen pushing down. Looks like the dollar is still providing a bit of weakness here. And well, the cable, it's the sluggish one of the lot, but well, it may have just stopped me and continue its mode in terms of where I was aiming for originally. But I shall sit still. It's nearly 10 o'clock on these, and I'm going to just leave these markets alone for now and review again later. Okay, so just shorted the dollar yen here. It's been a bit of a slow few hours for it actually. I'm just looking on for the 30-minute chart. Last couple of hours been pretty slow here. Finally started breaking, bit of movement. It was just running in. It's 12.55, seeing maybe a bit of volumes coming through US wise. Really, this is just a scalpy sort of trade. A 10 pip stop, 20 pip initial target. If it was to start moving a bit quicker down here, we see we can pass this sort of 52 area, daily S1. Bit of certainly a statistical trade, looking at the prior lows there, and that's as I say on the S1 it's got a reasonable probability, so we'll see how that plays. Okay, so just reviewing these markets, and the pound eventually came down to the levels I was looking back at that 60.50. Eventually came to air kissed it the first time, just touched it a moment ago. Still looking a bit on the bearish side, but that's not sitting in that at the moment. I am sitting in a yen short, and it's sluggish here to say the least. It's had a bit of a bounce here. It carried on moving reasonably well initially and pushing down further, but it comes short around about 10 or so pips short of the target there at the moment. It may still have some legs in it to the downside. We'll see. This is the S&Ps are just opened not long ago, and they're sort of dancing around a little bit. It looked like a short while ago we were discussing this in the room. It's put a higher low in there. It looked at that time like it might get quite bullish rather, relative to where it was. But all it did is ran into it sort of 5-minute 200 and rolled from it. But it's not to say it won't push back up there. It's just a sort of reaction from that sort of level. Maybe traders selling into that. But the market's just opened as well, so it's always a bit volatile around this time. So we'll see how that develops. But as much as I'm bearish long term, I was looking at the potential retracements on some of these on this market, but it's getting later and later in the day, and I'll probably be just sitting there and watching it, and that's that. So for now, put you back on hold on the video here. But as I say, the euro itself, the dollar yen, not looking great. We do have a little bit of news at 3 o'clock. I don't expect that news to do too much, but I don't think this will even last till 3 o'clock at this point. Okay, so just looking back here, and the dollar yen short, it was a trade back really to the previous lows there. It started off okay, but unfortunately reversals. We've got a lot of chop going around in some of these markets at the moment. I'm going to call it a day in terms of trading. It's just it's not happening for me today at the moment. It looks okay when we went in there, consolidation, sold on the break, but there we go. So I shall leave the yen alone. As I said, I'm going to wrap up this day trading video today. As I said, not really not a great day with the European markets being closed. I say markets being closed, but the traders not around. It's liquidity is drier through the markets. Bit of a frustrating one in a sense on the pound there, having started off pretty well, but then just stops off. Maybe too aggressive stop, but there's always got to be a sort of a limit to how much you're willing to risk for a trade. And when the risk reward shapes up wrongly, it's for me, it's you either leave the trade or you just try it as it was, and it looks okay at the time. But there we are. So that's today's trading. Small loss there overall, but we'll see in next week's and the new week. Take care. Bye for now.